guys, how's it going? It's Jamie, the crafty DIY guy, and I'm back. I've got some industrial DIY projects for you today. I would say maybe they're even considered modern. Maybe you could even make them farmhouse. A lot of that is just the way that you paint them. And I hope that you're excited. These are not Christmas. These are not Valentine's Day. These are just everyday DIYs that you can use in your home. Maybe you're getting a sneak peek of them back there. And I'm excited about these. If you are one of my OGs, one of my long-term subscribers, my long-term friends, thank you guys so much for being here. I truly appreciate everything. I know I say that all the time, but it really is meant from the heart. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome. If you're checking this video out for the first time, welcome as well. Maybe YouTube even recommended the video to you. Thank you, YouTube. And I hope that you'll stick around and become a subscriber. So let's jump into the projects that I have for you today. I'm excited about them. There's 4. All right, everyone, and for our first project, we're going to take 7 of these octagon mirrors from Dollar Tree, and we are going to be joining them together to make one massive mirror hanging. So the idea is that we're going to put them together kind of like so. I think if I would have done this all over again, I may have gone with 9 just to kind of continue the points on either side. So for these, I am going to use a combination of my super glue and my Sure Bonder glue there. And I'm going to start with just gluing the 3 in the center together kind of like so. I'm going to use it on this gluing mat that I love from Sure Bonder so much because even if glue seeps through this, it is not going to stick to this mat, which makes it actually really, really easy. So I'm going to put about 3 dots of that super glue, and then I'm going to go in with my Sure Bonder glue on the other areas where I did not put super glue. That way I get an instant hold, and then I get a long-term hold with the 2 combined together. And by the way, when you do start gluing this together, you should probably do these face down. I kind of did this a little backwards. So when you do start gluing all of your mirrors together, do it face down. And then you'll grab a piece of cardboard that is going to be the same size as your mirror. And you will glue it to the back kind of like so. Once everything is good and dry, then you're going to flip it over and you're going to start trimming away any of that cardboard that is already shown. In order to hang my mirror, I'm going to use one of these garden hanger kits from Dollar Tree. This is something that you can get in the garden section, usually in the summertime. It comes with a hook and 3 pieces of chain, so I'm going to actually take 2 of the pieces of chain and just join them together. And then once I figure out my placement, I'm going to do a couple things to make sure that this is good and sturdy. The first thing I'm going to do is cut a piece of cardboard and use that to glue on top of the chain. But before I do that, I'm going to add lots of hot glue, and then I'm also going to add some of this heavy duty tape on top of the glue while it's still hot. So together, this makes a really nice bond, and as you can see, it looks fantastic in my office. I really love this mirror so much. I think it looks super contemporary, and I really love the way that this turned out. And for my next project from Dollar Tree, we're going to grab one of these Dollar Tree wood boxes. It can be any kind of critter that is on the front there. I also grabbed this rubber ball that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I have 3 wooden towel rods. These are the long towel rods that you can pick up at Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square. They come in a package of 10. And then I also have one of these styrofoam wreath forms. Whatever ball you get, just make sure it does fit within the wreath form, kind of like so. For that Dollar Tree wood box, you want to make sure that you've got something in there that's going to weight it down just a little bit. I added some rocks from Dollar Tree, and now I'm just going to put some glue on the kind of the critter side of the box, because what I'm doing is creating essentially a wood block out of this, and those rocks are going to help hold that down. If you can find one of the Crafter Square wood blocks that's just the solid wood block, that would also work really well for this. And then I'm just going to go around the edge there and just seal it up with some of this glue also from Sure Bonder. Now for our wood block, what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole directly in the center of it, and it should be a hole that is big enough for that dowel rod to go through. Although you don't want it to be too big, so make sure that the drill bit you're using is about the same size as your dowel rod. That way you get a good solid hold. Also, I'm going to take just a little bit of my glue and put it down in that hole, and then you'll see that that dowel rod will slide down perfectly in there and glue into place. For this next part, you're going to take your drill and just put a hole through the bottom part of your wreath form. You're just going to do this on one side. So go ahead and just make sure you go very lightly with this. And then you're going to put your dowel rod through that hole and just kind of figure out about where you want that placement to be. Once you've figured that out, go ahead and add some hot glue into that. You want to leave, I would say, about an inch or so. It really just depends on how big the ball is that you're going to be centering in the middle of this. Now I'm going to take the same drill bit that I used and I'm just kind of twisting it by hand here, and I just really eyeballed it to put another hole in the top. And now I'm going to take another dowel rod and I'm going to snip it off and put it in that hole that I was just kind of drilling by hand. The idea here is that your ball is going to stay in this center ring with the tension of the two dowel rods that are in place. Now, right now they're not glued in, but as you can see, it is kind of perfect and it's holding it exactly the way that I need to. So now I am going to take it out and add some hot glue into the hole at the bottom. This is the hole that would be actually at the top here. I'm going to add the smaller piece of dowel rod, and then I'm going to add glue into the center part there where that air valve is, and then just glue the ball into place on the two dowel rods. Now, I had this extra piece of wreath form that was left over from an old project. I don't even know where this came from, but it happens to fit perfectly around the outer ring itself. So we're kind of doing like a globe inspired, celestial or celestial. I don't know how to say that word, but I'm taking it outside now and I'm going to spray paint it with my black spray paint from Rust-Oleum. This is a hammered black spray paint that I like so much. I always use this. And once it's all dry, you take it in your room and you've got a very cool decor piece that I think looks very high end and very contemporary and super cool. I'm going to love this in my office. It's going to be something that you'll probably see in the background of many of my photos to come. Now, for the next project, this was an old DIY that I did about 3 or 4 months ago. I actually did it on Instagram, and then I think I may have done a quick version of this on YouTube as well. It is 3 embroidery hooks that I literally just glued, or embroidery hoops rather, that I just glued together. And then I had this guy left over from Christmas DIY. And so I am just going to add some glue right onto the tip there. And then I'm going to glue my orb or my embroidery hoop globe right on top of it. And I'm just going to hold it in place until that glue is nice and solid. Then I took this outside. I spray painted it with that same hammered black spray paint from Rust-Oleum that I seem to be addicted to lately. And I've got a super cool orb that is another complement to the larger one that I just made. My last project is going to be a Kirkland's dupe. I saw this message center and I absolutely loved it, but I did not love the $139.99 price point, so I decided to make a Dollar Tree version of it for a lot less. I will say the Dollar Tree version is certainly smaller, but it still is very functional. So I'm going to take some tumbling tower wood blocks. I'm going to use about 6 of them, I think, 6 to 8. And then I also grabbed a wooden bamboo cutting board from Dollar Tree. And then I also have a couple wooden dowel rods that I actually ended up not even using for this project. And then the other thing I grabbed was this plastic basket that is from Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to take my wire cutters here and I'm just going to go around the bottom of this basket. This is plastic, so it actually cuts really easily. You could actually even do this with a really sharp pair of scissors if you had some. Now I'm going to take my cutting board and I'm going to lay it on top of my grate that I've just kind of cut out from the bottom of that plastic basket. And what I'm going to do is just kind of figure out where I need to trim this down, because it's going to be an extension of the board itself, but it's not going to be the same size as the board. So once I kind of figured out where it was time to start trimming it again, I literally just took those same wire clips and just clipped right through it. And as you will see, I've got the perfect size mesh now for my board. I did take this piece of mesh outside and just spray painted it black. You can't really tell, but it just gave it a better color in my opinion. And then for the cutting board itself, I'm just going to use some antiquing wax and just darken this up a little bit with that. But before I do that, I am going to take my wood blocks and kind of create a phone caddy out of those. So I'm going to be taking 2 blocks and gluing them together, and then another 2 blocks and gluing them together. And I'm kind of creating this L shape with a little hook on the end of it. So hopefully, as I'm really describing this poorly, the photos and the video is making a lot more sense than I am. I took the phone caddy blocks outside and just spray painted them this midnight navy. And then I decided to mix my board up a little bit more. I wanted a little more functionality for it. So I'm going to add 2 hooks for keys or miscellaneous things. And then this rectangular board, I'm actually going to turn into a chalkboard by using some chalkboard paint on this. I pulled out my ruler and just marked a couple spots where I wanted those hooks to be. That way they would be nice and straight and also evenly spaced apart. And then I brought out my drill and drilled a little bit of pilot holes in there just to make those brass hooks go in a lot easier by hand. Once my hooks are where I need them to be, then I'm going to go ahead and just add some Sure Bonder wood glue to the back of the unpainted side of my phone holder, and then I'm going to glue that down. I also did the same with the chalkboard and glued that into place also. And then for the grate and attaching that, I'm just going to add some of my Sure Bonder glue to this as well. I'm literally just going right along the kind of the grate itself. And then I'm going to glue this directly down to the back of my board. And then I'm also going to reinforce it with some tape. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. I love this so much. I think this is the perfect little message station or a place to keep your keys. You could hang this by your front door. You could keep this in your office or in your bedroom. It is so handy. I am really, really in love with this one.